Don't you want it? 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 You lose your living mind. My Deadlights.
Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, Sam.
And I'm your other host, Leslie, bringing you your weekly dose of horror, everybody.
Hell yeah, we were making our little houses.
Cause guess what we watched?
There's Someone Inside Your House. From 2021, directed by Patrick Brice and written by Henry Gayden.
Ooh.
The graduating class at Osborne High is being targeted by a masked assailant, intent on exposing the darkest secrets of each victim, and only a group of misfit outsiders can stop the killings. We're misfits. Oh, everyone hates us, but we're going to be the heroes.
Look at me.
Yeah.
I'm such an outsider.
This was I think this was our first Netflix produced horror film, but that's not true because we watched The Ritual.
And I think Platform, the very first one, was as well.
So we have watched actually
as of recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is always interesting because these movies are being released straight to streaming, so it's a very different kind of viewing experience that you're gonna get. And we have a mini-sode about that, the differences between streaming and movie-going experiences. But just from the start, this was on a streaming service film.
Yeah.
So automatically the viewing experience is going to be a little different. And I think that Netflix and these streaming services maybe a little bit realize that. And maybe they've changed how they make their movies based on the fact of, we know this isn't going to be in a theater. This is going straight to streaming. I don't know how that affects how they make it, but I just am curious of do they have that thought? It's a different viewing experience. So I didn't think about it until right now.
Yeah, that is a really good conversation to kickstart the episode because, although maybe I'm just not a big fan of these kinds of movies. It's not much of a thinker. No. And I do like a little bit more meat in things. But it was easy to watch. It looked crisp. If we're going, let's just kickstart it. Let's kick this can.
Open the can up. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, it looked very clean because majority of people have HD TV. Like they're making them so crisp and clean. And that's what this experience was, at least visually.
Definitely HD cameras that they were using, no film, digital cameras. And I think you're right. This kind of goes back to this idea of it being on streaming services. Everything is kind of meatless because you're able to put this on the background a little more. Maybe they realize people might just throw this on as something to just watch in the background. Don't have to think about it too much. And that's why there isn't that much meat and why it's, because in the can, when I was watching this movie for the actual filmmaking, it was hard for me to grab onto something stylistically that they were going for because it was just this very squeaky clean HD look. There wasn't that much visual aesthetic I felt that they were going for.
It looked pretty. It looked very pretty. So cinematically, they did a good job. Set wise, too.
But that's what I'm saying is they did a good job at making it look clean, but there was nothing interesting going on with the sets or with the characters or with the cinematography that much. There was a couple scenes where I thought the lighting was kind of interesting. One of them was the confessional death. That was, I thought that was a pretty interesting scene overall. And we end up the killer pursues our character into a confessional and then stabs these holes in the door of the confessionals.
And the light seeps through.
And that's kind of like these like little patches that are on her face. I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then another scene was Rodrigo's death scene, where we're in this big house party and then all the lights go out. And then the only light sources that we have is everyone's iPhones. Flashlights going on all around him. Very disorienting.
Have you been in a concert where like the artist has all the lights go out except for that's some powerful shit.
That's
right
really cool.
There.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I'm seeing stars.
Visually, I thought that was like, that stood out.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, there wasn't really, like, there wasn't much, like, color theme they were going for.
No.
There wasn't, like, these colors, certain colors they were pushing or holding back from.
So I think that's what makes a difference if we are going to have, in discussing this question, I think you're in streaming, you're competing with a whole bunch of different things, different streaming platforms. And, not that like in theaters, those films are also competing with other things, but it's more intentional if you go to a theater, to a physical establishment to see a movie, because it's not inexpensive. You are then being like, I want to see this movie. I'm paying for this movie. When you're streaming, you have the ability to see whatever the fuck you want, and even things that you've seen before. So if it's easy to consume visually, theatrically, script, like it, and maybe we're not the audience. We might not be the targeted audience. Because these were high schoolers. Mm-hmm. And not saying that if you're going to center the main characters to be in high school, I'm not saying that you cannot have a decent film.
No, definitely not.
I'm just saying I'm not quite interested in seeing high schoolers run around. It has to be compelling.
Yes.
And I just didn't find any like connections, attachments to these characters. Everything was just moving way too fast. And perhaps they just added a lot of that character development and arch for it to make sense at the end. But
yeah, because I mean, now we're kind of talking about the script and the acting performances, but I think it also extends to what we already talked about, which is the cinematography and set design. Everything just feels flat, you know? Like, the performances, I wouldn't say they were bad. I never was like, oh my God, this person is like so overacting right now. But there wasn't anything in there where I was like, wow, this person's like giving a really good performance. Everything was just very one note.
Yes. I agree. I was going to bring that up. This film reminds me if Disney was allowed to make horror films. That's what it felt like. Mm-hmm. It's just teetering into things. And then it was so heavy-handed of how political it was trying to be. In having a speech, a moment in which it was never clarified that this character was non-binary, but it was implied by other characters. And it
wasn't implied. It was literally announced in the cafeteria.
We have a student here at my school who's an outer space enthusiast. But that's not the only thing about this student that's alien. His name, or her name, depending on the day, is Darby.
But then it made that whole thing just be unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And they were just trying to build on just like who because it's a whodunit. Yeah. Who is it? Who's the murderer? You know?
They were giving everyone a reason to, they would kill over this or something. Yeah. And I think that perfectly goes into
Lamit.
Carne.
carne asada.
Because this movie, like you said, they are, I think, trying to say something. They are literally saying things very outright and expository like. And one of the things that they're talking about is like this, I mean, they say it, this reactive culture.
Fuck these reactive people.
This is actually one of the points of the movie I found most interesting. The setting of this movie is a Nebraskan, very small town. We're talking like Corn Town, where it's mostly farmers. It seems like the most entertainment that you get is your high school football game. We're talking tiny town here in modern culture, where now we have characters who are non-binary, who are quote unquote against the norm of this culture. Gay. Oh my God. But this small town is like radically accepting of these people.
A moment of silent, unenforced, non-denominational prayer.
Seemingly like, we accept everybody. There's that scene that we already talked about of the student council president talking about how we accept the non-binary person. And then we also have this gay football character who everyone seems to be kind of accepting almost because they feel like they have to, not because they actually believe it.
Yeah, not because they're actually decent folks. It's because everybody has a mask that they're wearing. Mm-hmm. You know, they all have to kind of accept what's happening and people presenting themselves because everybody's career or hopes of going to a university are at stake. Mm-hmm. You know? And that to me doesn't prove that you're a good person just because you're like, yeah, in front of somebody and being like, I'm an ally. And then behind closed doors, like one of our characters has a whole freaking homophobic and like sexist, all of the isms.
Yeah.
Some races have higher IQs than other races. It's basic science. Look it up.
The killer's big thing was when he kills you or when they kill you, they also reveal your big secret. And everyone's secret was proving that they weren't this person that they were putting out into society. Which, okay, yes, that is, I think that's a very interesting, and again, set in this small town idea where things were a certain way for so long. I find that kind of interesting. I think that that is kind of an interesting idea to play with. Mm-hmm. How do these small towns react to the new world, quote unquote? That's all it really went. That's as far as it went, though. Yeah. It really didn't, like, the stuff that they kind of set up didn't really go anywhere.
Well, I think it tried to. When it was revealed who it was, and it was a privileged person, and they were just victimizing themselves and being like, yeah, I'm killing people because everybody's hiding.
I was ashamed. But why? Because I was born with privilege? Why should I feel bad about that? They're all putting on these fake faces. You're all hypocrites, just like my dad. I can't hide from my dad's last name. So I'm showing these people who they are, who they really are.
Okay, this is what we're boiling it down to? I don't know.
Yeah, rich kid, like pissed that he's rich or something, like
he's pissed that he has to identify and accept that he's a privileged person and has to then be like more humble about it or whatever the fuck.
He's not able to hide behind any mask because he's already in the limelight.
So he's already this person and he has to be this person. And
so he wants to take off everyone else's masks and reveal their secrets. Because it's fair? I don't know.
Well, that's what the main character, Makani. Mm-hmm. She was, at the end was like, you're killing because you have privilege? Like, what?
You think having everything makes you the victim? What kind of fucked up logic is that?
Yeah, it just felt like that theme of, I don't know, the main theme that they set up at the beginning of the movie didn't come that much into play at the end. It just kind of felt like, oh, it was just an angry rich kid. And then the movie's done. And I'm like, okay. And the main character, her journey is obviously accepting her past and, moving on from her trauma and not blaming herself. And we did get that. But again, none of that seemed very relevant to the killings that were going on. It was just like, everyone has their secrets, and we're going to reveal everyone's secrets to this movie, and then we're going to end the movie.
Why wasn't it called I Know Your Secret or Tell Me Your Secret? Maybe those were already taken?
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
There's someone inside your house.
There's why?
There's someone inside your house.
So stupid.
Because your house is your brain, and there's someone inside there, man. Oh, you live inside your head. Radical, dude.
Radical. It just was so heavy-handed.
Yeah.
The topics were so heavy-handed that I felt like it could have. I can see what they were doing, and I didn't like that. But like they were there. They had a good idea, and they just needed to flesh it out a little bit more to try to not make it as cliche.
Yes.
It just became a very cliche film.
We were both sitting there like calling every scene, essentially.
It was like,
And there also was this element too that they did not flesh out at all of hazing. Because there was multiple, the sports hazing happened multiple times through the movie. That was a huge part of the main character's backstory. Her trauma directly had to do with hazing. At the beginning of the film, the first kill that we get, he's killed because of hazing.
Yeah, he had beat up someone to the point where they must have broken their nose. They were in bad shape.
Yeah. And they have this idea that there's this pressure to be accepted in these sports, and you have to go through these hazing processes. But they didn't say anything about hazing. There was no like, oh shit, like this leads to hazing, like hazing leads to this. Hazing just happened in the movie, and that was it. There was no talking about it.
Got any the death was the only consequence that happened to the football player, but there was no conversation about the violence and aggression and how kids need to stop this.
And again, our setting in this movie is very small town. We're probably built on a lot of traditions. So hazing in sports is probably a passed down tradition kind of thing.
But to beat someone up?
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty intense. Yeah. And that's really fucked up. And we saw that immediately. Didn't really go back to the fact of like, maybe if this hazing didn't happen, you wouldn't be killed or something like that. Would have maybe made it stronger, the tie. There could have been a tie between our killer and being hazed or something like that.
Something
which would then easily make that tie of like, oh shit, the hazing actually led to the killings.
Or that was his brother.
Something.
Or cousin or whatever, loosely. There was no connection. It just seemed like this person, we did have a conversation about how we're misusing words, and psychopath was one of them, was a term in which was used for our character that we, like the audience, was supposed to think that was the killer. And it is true. We're just throwing shit out there and being like, oh my God, I'm depressed, when we're just feeling sad. Depression looks different than just regular sadness. So I like that, but I didn't like the conversations. I like what we're saying. We're like the themes we're bringing up, but the actual conversation, the actual meat of it is weak sauce.
Yeah. Well, they think that perfectly gets us to the cook.
The cook.
Because you're right. These ideas that we're bringing up thematically, they're not cooked through. They're not fleshed out. They're divisive. They're used to get the plot going and get to our killings, which seems at a certain point a little irresponsible of like, you know, we're just using these really sad and important things that we should be talking about and addressing as plot points. So that's what bugs me, I think, the most about it, and especially the hazing topic, is because it's such an important thing, and an important thing today specifically. We just used it as a part of someone's backstory, and we didn't really say much about it. No. Unfortunately.
There was a lot of themes, and I like that you said they were used irresponsibly. Because truly, yeah. You can't just bring up all these themes, try to make a horror script about it, and then just like loosely gloss over it. Not that you can't have these themes in a horror film. It's just not if you're going to actually do something with it. You can't just make a character non-binary and loosely just throw it out there for another character to kind of abuse to empower her. And
then in the end, that character being non-binary, the character being gay, the character whose parents died, and everyone thinks that that's what made him snap. These aren't things that we're talking about. These are being used as you might be the killer. So these things, these traumas that people are going through and ways that people are identifying are indications to the audience that they might be killing because of this. Yeah. So it's not even like, it's almost like not even part of this person's backstory. It's more of an excuse of why they might be homicidal.
Yeah, we're just putting personality traits on someone and just like reading this person by their book cover. Book cover. That's how it sounded like I said. Book cover. Yeah, you're totally right. And I think, this is what makes me upset. It just makes me upset. And Ryan Gosling type, there was that hair that was just like unkept, which made him appear, like he's hiding something because we couldn't see his full face. And what's important is looking at someone's eyes. And we couldn't see his eyes all that well. And it was irritating me. But everything else about him was kept, except for the fact that he smokes weed.
All the time.
Which his dad was like, "There's number one enemy."
I'm trying to put those boys out of business this next election.
I know.
Yet here you are.
That was another thing that it wasn't cooked through, was this idea that they're trying to eradicate the police from... That was another thing, I think, that they were just trying to like... This guy is trying to eradicate the police, so it would give... more motivation for someone to want him dead. I don't know.
I don't know. And
that
then
seemed like another thing.
And then the dad also had like Nazi
memorabilia.
Memorabilia, yeah. And that then there is just so many types of meat that it didn't make the taco enjoyable. It's like you wanted a taco, right? You wanted carne asada. But then you had pastor, you had tongue, you had chicken in there, you had shrimp, you had catfish. Like, why am I mixing all of these in one taco?
Yeah.
I need different tacos.
Does not make for an enjoyable bite.
No. If I wanted all these types, give me a platter. Give me a platter of different ones to try. But you need to have them enjoyable.
Yeah. Or make sense to go with each other. Yeah. And this movie is essentially functioning like Scream. I mean, this movie is essentially trying to be Scream-like, where we have a group of friends and a whole school full of suspects. It's a whodunit. We don't know. We have so many different motivations. And at one point we think it's this person. Another point we think it's this person. So they're trying to build that mystery for every single character up until the very end when it's revealed who it is. What works about Scream, though, is that they're almost aware that they're in a horror movie. It's a very tongue-in-cheek kind of movie. They're kids that are obsessed with horror movies. And so everything is so self-aware in that movie that it works well. In this movie, it's like they're trying to be Scream without the thing that made Scream good, because they're not aware that they're in a horror movie in this film. So we just end up with this like weird, like very basic whodunit, anyone can be the killer kind of thing.
And then everyone goes to college at the end.
Everyone goes to fucking college.
To
Everyone's
the college
accepted.
they wanted.
Accept it.
Yeah, I'm going to NASA. You're going to go for saxophone at this other school.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the concept of everybody has a secret. And it gets revealed. But let it just be that. Let that be that and don't have anything else.
Yeah, because what is the point of revealing their secret if they're dead? They don't deal with any of the consequences of their secret being revealed. Because he kills them and then reveals their secret.
It makes no sense. And I'm just like frustrated. I'm frustrated because it could have been made well. It could have. And look, maybe we're being too harsh. I don't know. But this is just my opinion. There's just so many themes, so many concepts, too cluttered. There's things in there that you could have grabbed and then just made the movie with. And then there was, just like take and leave kind of situation. And I don't know.
Yar. It didn't do what you just said.
No, I didn't. Everybody looked way too pretty.
Yeah. Well, let's get to our killer in The Thrill. Because, I mean, that's what we're dealing with here. This is essentially a slasher film, and we have a slasher running around. And his main thing is that he 3D prints a mask of his victim and wears their face as he kills them.
This sounds like a whole different movie.
It does. It does. I mean, that sounds like a cool concept.
Yeah.
And then he reveals your big secret, too, as he kills you. And I mean, honestly, the idea of the killer, I do like as well. And his motivation of like revealing these secrets, I'm down with that as well. And also down to like, even the practical effects I thought were pretty good in this movie. Like the blood, like the throat slits, the ankle slits, pretty good. You know,
stabbing in the back,
the swords through the fucking head.
Mouth one.
Yeah, I mean, the kills in this movie I thought were probably the strongest point. But that's also probably the fact because they were trying to get through. They were just trying to get through all that other thematic bullshit to get us to the killing scenes. Which, okay, if you're going to make one thing good in it, you're making the killing scenes good. I'm down. Because there were some pretty good standout kill scenes. Yeah. The confessional, super standout.
Yeah.
Really like that one.
Hated that it was about that gal. I just didn't find that to be strong enough. But also, who cares?
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
I didn't need her to be tied up, hung in front of the...
That didn't really make any sense.
No. It would have been cool to leave her in the confessional. I mean, not cool.
Just like open the door.
Ow. Like, we're talking as filmmakers, okay?
Right.
We're not talking about like humans.
Visually, it would be cool.
Or for her to like stay in the confessional and then had somebody be like, if we have a moment, Pastor, can we? And then he'll be like, sure. Even though that's not how it works, that would have still been better to discover her in there.
Yeah.
Than hung up.
Yeah, that didn't really make any sense. Why? Because how he killed her with the knife through the mouth, that made sense to the character.
Made sense.
Because her secret was that she was a racist and that she had this racist podcast that no one knew about or something.
Because it came out anonymously.
Yeah. And so her mouth is what got her in that situation. Therefore, it makes sense for her to be stabbed in the mouth.
Yeah.
But why hang her then?
I don't know.
Couldn't tell you. That didn't make any sense because even visually, that wasn't like. I don't know. It wasn't like that. I want to say it was shocking for sure to see a hanging person, but it wasn't that different, you know?
I mean, for them to come in and see that automatically, yes. But also, maybe just kill her that way?
Yeah.
But...
No, keep the confessional. I liked that.
Keep the confessional for
Do
sure.
that.
Leave her in there.
Yeah, leave her in there.
But,
we're talking about how to best kill a character, by the way. We're talking, don't hang her. God, what are you doing? Leave the knife in her mouth.
But it was unnecessary overkill.
It was.
And exposure. Even if it didn't make sense, if he just were to, like, the killer drag the confessional to the center so that everybody could see it. All right, cool. At least there's that, you know? But
the hanging seemed like a choice that they made just to throw in another shocking image of a person hanging. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. Yeah. We didn't need that,
It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, we just didn't need it.
It didn't make sense.
Yeah, so the killer, going back to the thrill. I mean, because now I'm trying to think, like, was he even scary? Not really, because after that first kill that we saw of the footballer, we knew it was going to happen with every other person. Like, we knew they were going to discover pictures. They were going to be led into a place, and then the killer was going to be there with their face. That really is what happened every single time.
Maybe it just clicked for me. Their secrets being revealed after their death was so then people had something to think about as opposed to trying to solve who it was, and justify why they were killed. But if we're justifying their kills, Rodrigo was suffering from addiction, painkillers. And then they demonized that.
Right.
The film did.
Because you're an addict, you should die. That was the motivation of the killer. That was the killer's reasoning. It
made no sense.
Which they didn't go back to and be like, man, he was dealing with stuff. He didn't deserve to die like that. They could have had the friend group should have said something like that.
And then the mourning for him was not strong enough to have that. We could have left that out and had more kills or I don't know. We understand as humans, I guess, at least I do, that, you know, you are going to mourn your friend. So we didn't need to see that because it was not strong enough. It was not for me. And then we had to do all the high school things, all of them. We had to go to prom right after, like at the end, when everybody fucking died and everybody got stabbed. People got stabbed and lived.
She witnessed a man get stabbed through the skull in front of her. I ain't going to prom after that.
Twice. She almost got killed.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
She almost saw two people die. Well, one of them died. The other one not die.
But stabbed in front of her.
Stabbed in front of her. Made it seem like it was her.
Yeah.
And yet we're gonna go to prom.
Happy times.
And then everybody gets accepted to the universities that they wanted.
And we graduate and we're all good.
Yeah,
high school is wild.
Yeah, wow. I love high school.
Oh, this was a background movie. All right, let's just get to the ride, shall we? Let's just pull into the driveway, have some underage sex, and get to the ride. Yeah. So the ride, it was like a trudge more. It was kind of like when they were riding through the cornfield that was on fire. I felt like that was going on through the movie.
Yes.
Where I'm like, this is not a smart idea for us to be going through here.
But it wasn't purging the way that like some fires tend to feel.
True. We weren't cleansed.
We're just literally just on fire.
We're just on fire.
And
we didn't get out of the car before it exploded. Bang.
And then we're just like, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. Not even like, it's fine. You know, happy. It's fine.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. It's like, this movie wasn't bad. Like, there wasn't anything in this movie that was like really, really terrible or anything like that. But it wasn't good. It was just like right in the middle, which is almost worse. I would almost rather have us have performances that are over the top, or writing that's over the top, or shots that don't work, but at least they're like crazy and interesting.
Yeah.
Than this just like flat.
It's like
middle of the road film.
It's like either they had so many inputs that it made it this flat, or they had something good, but then the pandemic happened and then they had to rewrite or whatever. Because like I said, it was almost there. They just needed to cook it a little bit more. And I know that we've been just like, we're not bad. Well, I don't know how y'all are going to take it, but I mean, we are saying harsh critiques, but like if it was terrible, like The Room, at least there's something there. I don't know. I've only seen The Room once, and when I saw it, I was delighted. It's terrible, but at least we all can kind of look around and be like, this film sucks.
Well, and at least it's something different. Like, I can't think of another movie that's like The Room.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. I didn't. Oh, hi, Mark.
I didn't hit her. I did not.
I did not.
I did not hit her.
But see, like, quotable. Can you quote this movie? No.
Actually, I wrote down a few lines that were really bad.
What's one of them?
I got,
You're the only one who lets me disappear.
you make me feel like I can disappear.
When she's writing him. Literally, we're talking about the ride, and she was writing him when she said that.
Yes. This is the underage teenage sex scene. And then the other one was like,
I see you out. I always have.
you're 16.
No. They're 17, 18.
Oh, excuse me. They're 17, 18. And these people are seeing each other's souls. I was playing video games when I was 17, okay? I was seeing my TV, all right?
I was graduating high school at 17.
Okay.
Because I was a year younger than everybody. I was climbing trees. That was my fun time with my friends. Going out to get hamburgers at Jack in the Box and climbing trees.
You weren't finding the love of your life and going through a massive cathartic and homicidal experience.
Look, I thought I knew who the love of my life was.
Me too.
And it never happened. I never got with them.
Oh, wow.
Which
Turns out it wasn't.
Great.
Yeah.
Which was great. And then I had other crushes that didn't go through either, which was perfectly fine. Well, I wasn't. I would cry because I'm an emotional person and I would cry. But now looking back at it, 15 plus, no, not that. 10, 11. 12 years later, almost 13 years later, it's high school. Emotions are rampant. You're trying to figure it out, you know? I don't understand how our main character was able to stab him twice, and it keeps replaying in my head because to stab someone once is a lot.
Her stabbing him once, self-defense. He was about to kill her and Ollie. One stab, I'm like, yes. Like, you got to put him down, save yourself.
You can take it out and have him bleed to death. Because he was going to.
Yeah.
You didn't have... I'm talking to the people that made this movie. You don't have to stab him twice. It makes no sense for a person who almost kill someone by accident to actually kill someone.
It doesn't.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't. Yeah, because she stabs him and then gets on top of him and looks, and she's like, I want you to look me in the eye.
Look at my face! I don't have to wear a mask to show you who you are.
And you're right. After this whole journey of hers of like accepting the fact that another person's like misfortune was not really her fault, even though she pushed her into a fire. For her to
she
then
was drunk and abused that night.
For her to then go soberly, consciously kill somebody, even though they are a killer, that doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, that doesn't.
When she did that, I was like, no, this can't be her character arc. Like, there should not be a reason as to how this character got from accepting that she had done what she had done before to then actually stabbing someone in the heart for them to die.
She's like, I accepted that first one. I can do it all over
again.
again.
She was like, wow, this shit.
I love it.
I mean, all he did tell her is like, there's something off about you. There's something off about me.
One of the incredible lines. Yeah, no, that just didn't make any sense at all.
Made no sense.
If he would have, she stabbed him for like self-defense. If he would have like done the classic like slasher, like I'm coming back for you, and then she stabbed him again, I would accept that because again, more self-defense.
That would have been that. Yeah.
And that would have felt more slashery almost. Like it would have made more sense for him to somehow superhumanly come back to life. It would have just been more of like a tip of the hat to old slasher form. But no, we made her a fucking murderer. And then she graduates.
And goes to prom. With Ollie, who's alive. He had a whole katana stabbed through him and taken out.
He doesn't even have like a cane or anything. He's just
walking
fine.
around. I mean,
he was dancing on that prom floor, I'm sure.
Ow, ow, babe, ow, 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 ow.
I'm dancing with a murderer.
That should be our next set.
I'm dancing with a murderer. Can't stop my feet because she'll stab me.
I can't move all that much because I was stabbed 2 months ago.
Thanks, Zach. Wow.
Thank you, Zach.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts about this movie?
It wasn't necessary, okay?
There is a lot of unnecessariness. There's someone inside your house.
There's someone inside your house.
From 2021.
AKA, I know your secret.
AKA, I know your secret. AKA, whisper your secret.
AKA,
just come up with a shorter title. God damn.
Secret.
Yeah. So let's get to these smashed pumpkin reviews.
Yeah.
Do you have a number?
You go first.
Me go first?
Yeah. Okay. You have a number?
I got a number.
Yeah.
Everyone heard what we had to say through this. If you've made it this far, you've heard everything that we have to say about this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, in this film's defense, we've talked about, they were playing with some interesting ideas and they did set up some interesting themes. And I thought the killer really, some of those killings are really, really cool. And if they had kind of made the reveal at the end a little different, we could have had a really interesting killer running around. So there were some things that they set up thematically and with the killer that I did actually like. The filmmaking was very flat. The acting was very flat. The cook on these themes didn't really get there for me. So this film just kind of became a very mundane, put it on the background kind of thing. I think
because everybody puts horror in the background.
Exactly. Yeah, right? I do. I think I'm not going to put this movie on in the background anymore. I'm going to give this movie... I'm sorry. I'm going to give this movie a 1 out of 5.
Pumpkin!
I gave it half a point for the kills. and I gave it a half a point for the themes. It's hard to find anything else. I'm sorry. Get at me in the comments.
Really shocked me.
Whoa!
I thought I was being so harsh.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving it a 2.8.
2.8?
Yeah.
Oof, okay. Man, I do look like a bad guy.
No, you're fine. It's totally understandable. I said on 2.8 just because I can see what they were trying to do. We see it too much. We just see it so clear. And like you said, it was just flat rate. And it just didn't stand out for me.
Yeah. I honestly
Nothing
feel like
about it.
if some of the elements were worse, like the acting or like, I almost feel like I would give this movie a higher rating if it was worse, because it's so in the middle of everything. I feel like that's what's making me enjoy it less.
Yeah.
If it's bad, at least they're probably trying things that just don't work, but they're trying things. This movie wasn't even trying things, it seemed like.
It was trying to really appeal to us and Gen Zers so much for having characters that will appeal to them, yet not do anything else with them. So yeah. It seemed like they were in the conference room, had a whiteboard, had all the concepts of what's relatable right now in 2020, and then circled shit, and they're like, there we go, there's our movie.
Holy shit, we got it.
This is great.
Oh my god, they're gonna love this. Yeah. It really did at a certain point feel like that.
And just the fact that it came out in 2021, and we all know that there's lots of films that were delayed due to the pandemic.
Yep.
That, I mean, they A, had more time to do it, or B, they had to stop and then go back to it.
Which sucks. Sucks for a film.
So, who knows if this is one of the films that got affected by it, but also, if you had time, why the fuck is the script so bad?
Yeah, maybe we do another read through. And honestly, like, I know I just gave this a 1 out of 5, but I will still encourage people to watch this movie because there is some value in the things that we talked about. I do think that there's some interesting things to look at in this movie. And even if you dislike a film, I think there is value still in watching it, especially if you're a filmmaker or you want to be in the film industry in some way. I think, watching everything is valuable. So I would still encourage people to watch this movie.
Absolutely. Also, just because we come up with our own opinions about a movie doesn't mean we're right.
Nope.
Are we right?
Nope.
Who cares and who knows?
Yeah, right. We're just talking here.
We're just talking here about what we like and what we know. And this might be your favorite film, and I'm not gonna judge you for liking this film.
No.
So yeah, go and watch it. Go and watch every movie that we see and plus more. I would really like to know what y'all think about this. And if you agree or disagree, that'd be great.
Please let us know.
Yeah.
I would love to know too.
I would like to know.
Yes.
I would love to know if you disagree. Truly.
Please.
Tell
me. Like, maybe we just missed a whole thing. Like, maybe
did we fall asleep?
Maybe there was this like one scene that we both like blinked really slowly at, and that like tied everything together.
Because there's that part with the donuts.
You bring me donuts because you know they soothe me. You proofread my essays. You stand up for me in public. That's who you are.
That I was like, that's cute. Why didn't we see that?
Yeah.
That friendship envelop in, it would be, if I were to write a memoir about myself, You best bet I'm going to include that chapter in about my friend that brought me donuts every day.
Definitely. Just because they knew it made me feel good. That was cute.
That was cute.
That was actually like, but that went back to like, we didn't see this friend group be a friend group, really.
Not at all.
We just had to accept that they were a friend group because that's what was on screen.
And no one, like, even if we didn't see it, we didn't feel it. We didn't see these friends actually be friends. Mm-hmm. It's like they spend no time with themselves at all. Because in high school, my friend group and I were all over each other. Mm-hmm. Not sexually, but just like that's what you do with your brothers and sisters when you're young. You're fighting, you're playing around, you're having a good time.
Yeah.
They seemed like they were not friends at all. And they grew up with each other. Except for our main character.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we didn't feel that.
There's no chemistry there.
Yeah.
Y'all.
Didn't feel that, y'all. Yeah.
Anyway.
Can we get out of this house, please?
Yeah.
Let's get out of this house.
Let's get out of this house. Yeah.
Let's see what house we're going into next week.
Oh, good.
I think I pulled that last one. Okay. So please pull something, Leslie.
Pull something. I'm definitely gonna pull something.
You're definitely gonna pull something.
Oh.
Ooh, which one? Okay. Oh.
Right or left? Left.
Yeah, let's see what we got.
All right. This is a thin one.
Ooh. It's a short movie.
1 minute long. After moving into a suburban home, a couple becomes increasingly disturbed by a nightly demonic presence.
Well, that sounds like almost every horror movie. Interesting. Yeah. A couple becomes...
2007.
2007, okay.
After moving into a suburban home, a couple becomes increasingly disturbed by a nightly demonic presence.
Like The Grudge or something? I don't think that's a couple, though.
2007.
It's around that time, though. Like The Ring, The Grudge.
Yeah. We seen The Ring, right?
We saw The Ring.
Yeah, we saw The Ring. What? I literally wanted to see this movie.
Great.
We watched the trailer on the streaming platforms.
Really?
And I almost picked it out.
Whoa.
Paranormal Activity.
Whoa, duh. Holy shit, we just talked about this.
Yeah.
We were like, we don't have any found footage movies on here yet.
And I was going to bring up Paranormal Activity because it's a movie in which there are kills and they're intentional and they mimic, what the picture was or a movie or whatever. I've never seen this one. I've seen the one with the roller coaster.
Wait, are you thinking Final Destination?
Oh no! Yeah.
Yeah, you're thinking.
Oh poop!
Paranormal Activity is the one with the camcorder in the bedroom.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I did get freaked out when I first saw this.
Yeah, no, this is
because ghosts. I don't mess with ghosts.
Well, we did have a conversation about.
Yes.
We haven't had any because we brought up Blair Witch and we brought up Paranormal Activity because we're like, yeah, those are like two big found footage films that we have not watched yet. I wonder if we'll pull one of those one day. There it is. So
look at that.
Paranormal Activity, cool.
Yeah. Well,
nice.
Shit. I did mix those two up.
That's okay. Maybe one day. Final Destination is in the bucket. So
what if that's the next one? That'd be creepy.
What are you going to give us, Bucket?
There's so many. So many popcorn. Anyways, y'all.
All right, y'all.
Let's get out of here.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining. Join us again. My name is Leslie. You can find me on Color Me Leslie.
And me.
On Instagram.
At BeepBeepRichieT. And us at the Deadlights Pod. Also check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we're recording this from. Until next time, let's get spooky. I'm wearing your face. And I'm going to reveal your secret. But wait, I'll kill you first.